Stop defining your company by what you do. Define it by what you fix. Most ICPs fail because they describe a product, not the urgent problem it solves. And that's exactly what we're rebuilding in this first lesson. Over the next few minutes, you're going to list the top problems your best customers actually had before they bought, boil that down into a single core problem statement, and map how that pain hits different people inside their organization, from the C-suite down to the end user. A powerful ICP starts with a problem, not a product description. That matters even more in B2B because different people inside the same company feel that problem differently. The CFO feels the cost of inefficiency, the VP of sales feels the lost revenue, and the person doing the work every day just feels the frustration. Your job is to name the problem so precisely that a prospect recognizes it instantly. And this lesson gives you 3 lenses for that: the job your product is hired to do, the business outcome it creates, and what's personally at stake for the buyer. First, a customer buys a solution to a problem, not a product, so define the problem before anything else. Second, different stakeholders in the same company experience that problem differently, and your ICP has to account for that. Third, your product solves a job to be done, but it also creates a business outcome and carries personal stakes for whoever's buying it. Fourth, problem definition isn't something you do once and file away. It's iterative. And maybe most importantly, a clearly defined problem is the foundation everything else in your ICP gets built on. The first is jobs to be done, originally from Clayton Christensen. It pushes you past demographics to the functional, social, and emotional needs a customer is really hiring your product to satisfy. The job they need done, not the features they're buying. Use it to frame your entire ICP around the customer's actual goal, not your product category. The second is the 3 value frameworks, and its job is making sure you understand and communicate value to every stakeholder, not just one. It sorts the value you provide into 3 buckets: functional value, like saving time; business value, like increasing revenue; and personal value, like reducing someone's anxiety. Map your problem against all 3, and you'll know exactly what to say to each different person in the room. The quality of your ideal customer profile comes down to how clearly you can name the problem you solve. Most B2B companies define themselves by their product category instead of the business crisis they actually fix, and this lesson forces you out of that habit. You're going to write the problem the way your customer would say it, not the way your internal deck describes it. Honest work here means ditching the jargon and writing in the language people actually use when they're in pain. The shortcut version is a vague sentence full of buzzwords that could describe anyone. By the end of this lesson, the output is your problem statement, a concise, powerful sentence that names the pain you alleviate. Take it seriously. Everything downstream in this workbook is built on top of that one sentence, so rushing it now means your team feels the consequences for months. Grab your workbook, printed or in your own notes works too, since what matters is that you actually write these down. First, pull up your sales call notes, support tickets, insurance surveys, and list the top 3 business problems your customers were facing right before they bought. Write them the way the customer said them, in their words, not yours. Something like, "We were losing hours every week reconciling data between Salesforce and our marketing system, and it was causing reporting delays." Pause and get all 3 down before moving on. Next, look at that list and ask which one is the most urgent, painful, and expensive for your best customers. The one that, solved, makes you indispensable. That becomes your single core problem statement. This is the sentence everything else in this workbook gets built from, so don't rush it. Finally, take that core problem and write down how it lands differently on the C-suite, the department head, and the end user. That cascade is what shows you the problem isn't one flat thing. It hits different people in different ways, which is exactly what you'll need when you map stakeholders. Here's your checklist for this lesson. List your top 3 customer problems in their own words. Refine the most urgent one into a single core statement. Write 3 sentences on how it hits the C-suite, department head, and end user. Review the jobs to be done and 3 value frameworks material. And share your core problem statement with one sales colleague for a gut check. Together, these produce your first real deliverable, a validated core problem statement. It's not just a phrase, it's a shared understanding your whole team can point to, and it's what the next lesson's stakeholder mapping is built from. A B2B SaaS company had a generic ICP, marketing directors at mid-sized companies, and it wasn't working. Their product automated social media reporting, and it was strong, but sales was flat because marketing and sales couldn't agree on who to target or what to say to them. So they rewrote their ICP around the actual problem instead of a job title. A VP of marketing at a Series A tech company, frustrated with juggling 10 tools for social reporting and burning 20 hours a month compiling data by hand. That single shift, from title to problem, moved their conversion rate up by 32% and cut their sales cycle by 20%. The product didn't change. The definition of who needed it did. Think back to that SaaS company story. Where is your own sales team using a job title as a stand-in for an actual problem? What has that vague targeting cost you? Name a specific deal you lost because of it. Pause here and actually name it. Now take the core problem statement you just wrote and hold it up against your top 5 open opportunities. Are they a real fit? If not, what's your plan for them? And one more. If you were only talking to prospects with this exact problem next quarter, what would actually change about your pipeline quality? Sit with that before you move on. The most common shortcut here is writing a generic, buzzword-filled problem statement, and the cost is an ICP that appeals to no one and leaves your team misaligned. Real completion tends to feel a little uncomfortable because a sharp problem statement excludes people, and that's the point. It's cutting away the noise, not adding to it. This statement is also your secret weapon for the next lesson. Once you know the specific, pause the video here and open your workbook to the Lesson 1 worksheet. Under Current Problem List, write your 3 problems. Use direct customer quotes, not paraphrasing. Under Core Problem Statement, write your 1 sentence, and make it specific, measurable, and genuinely painful, not a polite generality. If you don't have the printed PDF in front of you, your own notebook works just as well. The point is to have it written down somewhere you can come back to. What you write here becomes the raw material for mapping stakeholders in the next lesson, where you'll assign specific people to the specific problems you just listed. Go through these one at a time and check them off honestly. First, check 3 customer problems listed. Once you have 3 distinct problems written in your customer's own language, not internal jargon. Next, check core problem statement refined. Once you have a single, concise sentence that names the specific business pain you solve. And finally, check stakeholder pain mapped. Once you've written how that problem actually lands on the C-suite, the department head, and the end user. Once all 3 are checked, you've built the foundational document of your entire ICP. You've moved from describing your product to defining the actual crisis it resolves. This calculator measures how aligned your team already is around the problem you just wrote. For team alignment, fill in the percentage of your sales reps who could state the core problem from memory. Run a quick survey if you need to. For prospect recognition, track how often a new prospect says something like, "That's exactly our problem," in a call. And for messaging consistency, count how many different problem statements are floating around your marketing and sales materials right now. You're aiming for 1 or 2, not a dozen. If any of these come in below benchmark, that's not a failure. It's a signal. You'll close that gap in the application section by tightening the statement you just wrote. Take the core problem statement you just wrote and ask yourself, out loud if you can, why does that problem matter? Write the answer. Then ask, why does that matter? Again, and repeat it 5 times total. This is the 5 whys technique, and it's designed to drag you from a functional answer down to the real, emotional reason someone would buy. Pause the video and work through all 5 before you come back. The question to sit with: is your problem statement about your product or about your customer's survival? Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what's the biggest assumption you're making about your customer's problems right now? Name 1 piece of evidence you've been quietly ignoring because it challenges your core problem statement. What would it mean if you were wrong about it? For deeper reading, look up The Customer-Centered Innovation Map by Lance Betancourt and Anthony Ulwick. It's the classic HBR piece that goes further into jobs to be done. As you read it, ask yourself honestly, is your ICP defined by the job your customer needs done, or is it still just a product category with a different name? 3 things to actually do this week. Interview one of your best customers and ask them to state their problem in their own words. Then interview a customer-facing colleague and compare notes. See if your problem statements match. And record yourself giving a 2-minute pitch of your problem statement. Then listen back and hear how it sounds to someone else. Next time, we take this problem statement you just built and use it to map every single person inside your customer's company who feels that pain. The whole decision-making unit you've been selling around without realizing it.